Okay, in this video, what we're going to do is just revise what we learned yesterday or the day before when we had our lesson. And what we were doing in that lesson was we were taking black and white photo from Google, we were bringing it into Photoshop, and we were using our layers and brush tool and colors to be able to colorize that. So let's just dive straight in. We'll go to Safari, that's what I'm using. We'll go to black and white. Yeah, sure, black and white image. Let's just click on the first one there. Cool, it is pocket watch with some coins. Now, when you find the image that you want to use, you need to click on View Image so it opens up in its own new tab. And you've got a couple of ways you can do it. You got either click, hold down, and drag that into Photoshop, or if that doesn't work, and it doesn't open up in Photoshop, let's pretend it didn't open, what you'll do is right click and save that to downloads. It'll go into your downloads, click downloads, and just click and drag that into Photoshop and it will work there. Okay, so recap on our interface. Left hand side, this is what we're going to do to make something appear on our workspace. So my brush, it will do something on there. Even though that just didn't do something, that was a bit weird. On my right hand side, this is my palette, and I can do things here like say change color, even though I can also change color here. Photoshop is a bit flexible like that. Now if your interface doesn't look like this and your interface has been screwed around with a bit too much, don't worry, you can always go Window, and in the Window menu this is where you find all your palettes for the right hand side. Go to Workspace, and then we just want to reset Essentials, so it's reset itself. I'm going to close this one because I don't need that one. Right, so we're going to go our Layers palette. I just disabled that, but there's my layers. Sometimes you need to do that if you're not familiar with the interface, just to see what changes on your screen so you know where you need to go. Alright, so now that we've done this, we need to go to our new layer icon, click on that so we can now see it says layer 1 and it's above my background layer. I'm just going to click on a color here. Let's say we have a nice brassy color. Click OK. Want to zoom in, Command plus, and let's just start coloring in there. Now even if I go over it, that's fine. We can always go to my eraser tool and I can erase it down. Now it's worth noting that if I want to change my brush size, we can do it a couple of ways. So this is my brush size. If I want it to be smaller, I can go up to here, click on the drop down and reduce that in size. It's now smaller. Or I can, the other day I showed you guys the ability to use keyboard shortcuts. So a keyboard shortcut that we want to use, that square bracket equals making it smaller, and this square bracket to the right hand side makes it go larger. Now what we've also got is this right here is quite feathered, and this right here is really focused. Now the way we change that is by going and pressing something else. So in order to get a focused one, we need to press Shift plus that bracket because it makes it larger. And if we want something less focused and more feathered, we need to press Shift plus that other bracket there. The other way to do that is changing the hardness. Okay, so hardness all the way hard is, if I make it big, right, is that there? All the way soft by 100%, by 0% is making it soft there. Okay, so if I turn these off, make a new layer, I can start painting this in, which is great, and just experiment with all these things. Now, because I've done this a while, I know that the one that I want to actually use is color burn. but it looks really dark here, and in fact I don't like that color. I want to go a little bit more of a orangey kind of color. So even though it looks really dark, well, in fact it'll look black on the screen that you're watching it on. What we then want to do is adjust my opacity. If I just knock this down a little bit, I can see that it's changing the color there. Perhaps that's a bit too dark of a color. Maybe not color burn. Yeah, maybe color burn. What does that look like? Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Yes, that's definitely better. So let's just keep going around. And now I like what I'm seeing. Okay. So again, even if I go across there, I can always get my eraser tool and rub that out. Now in order to do the glass, create a new layer. Let's say I use a light blue or something. Just paint all over. Well, that was my eraser tool. Gonna make sure I'm on my brush. Paint, paint, paint. And then what I want to do is just adjust these and cycle through just to see what looks good, what I think may look good. That was kind of okay color burn there, and I might even reduce the opacity there as well. So zoom back out, that's kind of looking alright. Okay, so just to recap, we're going into Google, finding a black and white image, say this one. If I like it, I go view image, wait for it to load. I can either right click, save it to my downloads, and it goes into here and drag that into Photoshop, or I can click, hold down and drag that into Photoshop. It opens up. I create a new layer. You always want to use new layers. Go to my brush, select a color that I want, let's say a green, adjust my brush size to however big I want it, start painting, and then playing around with different effects. And have a play around with more than one. So I can go new layer, let's say I use a bit of a yellow color as well, and in fact I'm going to make this one bigger as well, and I'm going to reduce the opacity on this, and I'm also going to go multiply. Now that really didn't change too much. If I had a stronger color, let's say pink, you would actually see that this layer is now multiplying itself over that area there. So have a play around. Once you're done, have a go at another image. What we want to do is just really get your skills really up, and hopefully we can have a little bit of fun with it.